First thing, verse 1, notice this. And Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, Go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into an harlot's house named Rahab and lodged there. So notice how the main character that's mentioned in this story by name is a harlot. Okay? Now, think about this. Harlots have never been respected during any time and any place. They've never been respectable members of society. Anyone who has ever used a harlot has done just that. They have used that individual. People who use them do not love them. They do not care about them. They use them for their own pleasure. These have never been respected members of society. But and you say, well, that's kind of mean. You shouldn't say things like that. I heard some guys the other day that were criticizing King James only and talking about how we need to update the language. They were saying one of the reasons we need to update the language, we've got words in the King James Bible that, people just don't understand correctly right now. They're just like bad words, and they mention words like whore because that's just used as like an insult. Well, it's supposed to be an insult. I mean, I'm not saying go around calling, women whores and things, but, when you call somebody that is an insult. You know why? Because nobody respects them.
I actually have a whole video, and I will use the word that you couldn't bring yourself to use. I had to steel myself to do this, to talk about the bad words in the King James. I thought somebody has to have this conversation because the teenagers titter in the back when you use the word ass or you're talking about the word whore. So we have to ask this question. This is what I'm asking as a Bible translator-ish kind of guy, somebody who loves the Greek and the Hebrew. What does whore mean today? Well, you could say, well, it means prostitute. But there's something beyond that. We have whore and prostitute still in our language because whore adds something else. It adds the purposeful insult, okay? And here's the question. When the Hebrew or the Greek used the word prostitute, did it in all these contexts intend to add that added element of meaning, of personal insult? Maybe, maybe not. In the judgment of most modern evangelical translators, no. So you got a passage like, a whore is a deep ditch, and a strange woman is a narrow pit, Proverbs 23. The modern translations go with prostitute. Why? Because their sense is that the Hebrew word doesn't have that added element of meaning. Was that element of meaning there back in 1611? Well, a prostitute's never been a good thing. But my sense, too, having looked at the history of this word, is, well, no, it didn't used to have that small added element that makes us all stop.
And so it's like, we need to change it to prostitute. Well, nobody respects them either. I mean, either way, they were talking about, I think they mentioned words like bastard, too. Because that's just kind of used as a cuss word, as a derogatory term. And it's like, well, it's a derogatory thing. And we got to get rid of these offensive words, and we got to update them. And that's another subject for another day. But I heard that and I thought, what is wrong with you people? These are not supposed to be positive things. It is not a good thing if someone is a whore, if someone is a harlot. They've never been respected. And you say, oh, what about Jesus? He even ate with the publicans and harlots. See, you don't even respect him because you're saying, look how loving Jesus was. He even loved the harlots. And isn't that exactly what they were doing? Isn't that exactly why we use that? To show just how loving Jesus is, that he even loves someone like that. So folks, why would we change that to a term that's less offensive? It's not supposed to be a positive word. It's a bad thing. Okay, Jesus himself used that word that way. In Matthew 21:31, he says, Wherefore of them of the twain did the will of their father? They say unto him, the first, Jesus saith unto them, Verily I say unto you, that the publicans and the harlots go into the kingdom of God before you. Now, why did Jesus mention them? Because they were the worst. They were the ones that nobody respected, the ones that everybody looked down on. And so Jesus, to just illustrate just how bad these people actually were, he said the harlots are going to go in before you are. So again, it's like there's some things you don't want to get compared to. Okay? And a harlot is one of those. So let's keep that in mind. Okay? And in fact, the very first mention of the word harlot in the Bible is in Genesis 34:1. After Dinah, Jacob's daughter, was defiled, Jacob's son said, and they said, should he deal with our sister as with an harlot? That's how you treat a harlot. That's how you treat somebody that you don't care about, somebody that you have no value with. That's what you do with a harlot. So if we establish the fact that a harlot is a very bad thing, something that is very disrespected, yet, okay, this is what I believe God intentionally used to show a picture of salvation. You know why? Because we all need to understand we are dirty, rotten sinners that are completely 100% unworthy of salvation. We are 100% dependent on the righteousness of Christ. So it makes sense that God would use a harlot for a story like this. This is really a very beautiful story of the grace of God.